JD, you're on, I think. There you go.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you guys hear JD?
Yes.
Yes, loud and clear.
Loud and
Okay,
clear.
great.
So tell us a bit about yourself, JD.
Oh, well, just like you said earlier, I operate a regenerative ruminant grazing ranch, goats and cattle. Concentrating on sequestering carbon from the atmosphere, putting it back into the soil. I don't know if you're aware, but the tillage that's required for mainstream crop agriculture, which veganism and vegetarianism relies upon, it not only destroys the soil horizons and creates a hard pan that makes the soil hydrophobic, which won't allow water to reach the aquifers anymore. It also causes flash flooding because the water can't soak into the ground anymore. Also, the sun now is shining straight down upon the earth or the soil rather than having vegetation to shine down on. That causes thermal currents, hot air that rises into the atmosphere and will chase away clouds, preventing precipitation. So the tillage that's involved with, the other thing that it causes is when you plow the earth, it causes oxygen to infiltrate those layers, and it causes what's called a bacterial bloom. And that causes a giant carbon burp. In fact, the carbon burping that's associated with crop associated tillage is the second leading cause of atmospheric carbon today. So the idea that livestock are behind all of this is actually coming from corporations like Monsanto, Bayer, coming from organizations like the World Economic Forum. These are organizations that want us to be reliant. Can you imagine a dystopian future where you have to have a pill that you take every day to stay alive? And you have to run to the government or some giant corporation like Bayer to get this pill. And without the pill, you can't survive. Well, that's
carbon's good for the environment on top of it. That's the worst.
Yes, well, it is. Carbon is good for the environment. But when you take it out of the soil and you put it in the air, it's not necessarily going to cause the earth to become overheated, but it is going to remove the soil's ability to absorb water and hold water.
So when you talk about regenerative, so what are the current animal agriculture doing compared to what you're doing? I want the viewers to kind of understand, what do you mean by sequestering? How is this CO2 getting put in to the soil with regenerative compared to what some of these big livestock farms are doing?
Well, there's two contrasting systems that you'll find in animal agriculture when you compare it to regenerative rotational ruminant grazing. And that is, one is the CAFOs, or the concentrated feeding operations, where animals are in basically a concentration camp. This is the model that requires antibiotics and so forth. It's the grain feeding phase or the finishing phase. Most of those animals spend the majority of their life, though, out on pasture eating grass. So there's the CAFO model, the concentrated feeding model, that's different than regenerative ruminant grazing. And then there's the other model where, let's say you've got 100 acres and you've got some type of ruminant livestock that you just turn out and you let them wander around that 100 acres to eat as they please and wander as they please. And what that does is that has them bouncing around from one corner to the next, from one side to the other. They may walk through this quadrant today to get to this quadrant to eat a little bit, and then they'll walk back across that quadrant and eat over here the next day. So they're always walking on the grass, or they're eating the grass, but that doesn't mimic this system that created the rich, fertile soils that we inherited from the herds of bison and antelope and elk. There were more ruminants on the North American continent before the Europeans settled the continent than we have today in animal agriculture. The problem is, and you may have heard this, it's not the cow, it's the how. And so what they're doing with regenerative rotational grazing is they're mimicking the behavior with the cattle or whatever ruminant you've got out there, as we would see with, say, bison or the pronghorn. And that is, those herds in nature will be closely bunched together, because around the perimeter of these herds, you would find predators like wolves, bears, so forth, and the ruminants would bunch together, but always keep moving. And the territory was so vast that it may be months or even years before that herd would revisit the same place. So when they would move through a location, it would be much like an amoeba moving through a petri dish, and it would move from left to right or north to south, south to north. It would leave the territory eaten. About half of the vegetation would be eaten. About a quarter of it would be covered in manure and urine. And the other quarter of it would be trampled. And that trampling actually helps to plant seeds, because the hoofs are perfectly shaped. Speaking of our creator, the hooves of a ruminant are perfectly shaped to create an indention in the earth that a seed can fall down into and germinate. And leaving that urine and manure behind leaves the earth behind these herds poised for a huge burst of vegetation and natural fauna. So every time a regenerative rancher goes from one paddock to the next, he is leaving the paddock partly eaten, partly trampled, partly manured, and partly urined. And it's going to be a minimum of 30 days before his animals revisit that area. And when he revisits the area the second time, that vegetation has grown back beyond where it was before. And so every time he makes that cycle, then the vegetation has moved beyond what it did the previous rotation.
And that's how it sequesters CO2.
Well, it sequesters it by adding vegetation, but also the fact that we're not tilling the ground, then we're not creating those bacterial blooms that result in those giant carbon dioxide burps into the atmosphere. And again, it's not that the carbon dioxide is in the atmosphere. That's great for the plants.
Yeah.
What's not good for the plants is that you've removed it from the soil, and without carbon being in the soil can no longer absorb water or hold water.
Runs off, and that's where you get contamination of nearby water sources.
Correct. It makes the soil like a Teflon pan, so the water falls on it and runs off like ducks off a water off a duck's back.
What do, because just explain to us what they mean by like fertilizers made from fossil fuel. Like I hear that often. Like if we're not using animal input for fertilizer, what are the other fertilizer or inputs that are required, and how are they like mined or something?
Okay, there are three major fertilizers, nutrients that plants need, and they're nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Without livestock manure and urine, then you've got to rely on either synthetic nitrogen, which is produced using methane. And they have found that the nitrogen factories are emitting more atmospheric methane than all other industrial processes combined. So it's reliant 100% upon petroleum, and it's also emitting more methane than what they're claiming is being emitted by cattle. The other two nutrients that are required are the potassium and the phosphorus. Those have to be mined. It's called potash mines and phosphate mines, and both of those are very destructive mining processes. You could look that up. Look up phosphate mines, potash mines. It's for instance, in Florida, they've got these giant potash mines that are resulting in a byproduct that's radioactive and acidic, and it's causing pools of water that are so acidic they're eating through the crust of the earth, and it's dumping hundreds of millions of radioactive fluids into the Florida aquifers, destroying the drinking water of millions of people.
Okay, so also I have a few questions too. We definitely, if you can put a link to a short video about shooting the animals that are in the crops, if possible. And also, I'm sure there's been like, how do, let's say, ruminant animals differ from omnivorous or carnivorous animals in converting just grass into all the essential nutrients? I've heard that the grass is eaten by the ruminant animal, but it's actually the bacteria within the different chambers that is feeding on that and producing fatty acids and a variety of nutrients. Is that correct?
Yes, of course, that's not the whole picture. No. It sounds like the bacteria are taking the grass and volunteering those nutrients over to the ruminant, but that's not what's happening. What's happening is we'll use a cow, for instance, a common ruminant. The rumen is the three chambers of the stomach that come before the hydrochloric acid chamber. Like, we've got a hydrochloric acid chamber at the bottom of our esophagus. In all mammals, anytime you've got a hydrochloric acid chamber in the digestive system, what that's designed to do is digest primarily fats and proteins. It just so happens that the fats and proteins that make up the bodies of a cow or the bodies of a human are the same fats and proteins that make up the cell walls and cellular structures of single-cell bacteria, protozoans, and other single-celled microorganisms that you'll find in the rumen, mostly bacteria. So what the cow is doing when he's eating grass is he's not feeding himself or herself. The cow is feeding the bacteria. And in the first chamber of the rumen, there's a whole lot of grass and a little bit of bacteria. In the second chamber of the rumen, there's a whole lot more bacteria and less grass. And in the third chamber of the rumen, it's mostly bacteria with just a tiny amount of grass. Then that mass is moved into the hydrochloric acid chamber, which is the fourth chamber of the cow's stomach. And all of those bacteria and other microorganisms are killed, digested, and assimilated into the cow's biology.
Okay, so wait right there, Pat. I'm going to ask him a few more things, and then, since you're the vegetarian or plant-based person, if you can have a respectful back and forth, or if you want to challenge him, if you want to ask him specific questions. Two things that I want to just ask JD directly. What's up with Bill Gates buying all the farmland in the United States? And I have theories like that he's just buying it up so that it can't be used for livestock, or maybe even without being used as plant agriculture, to possibly create like a false famine. What are your thoughts on Bill Gates? What's this guy up to?
Well, I did see video the other day of a farmer who owns land adjacent to a Bill Gates agriculture property, and it was being used. There was equipment out there, and they were growing crops. So as it stands, as far as I can tell, this land is still being productive. That's under the ownership of Bill Gates. However, there is he is affiliated, very strongly affiliated, with the World Economic Forum and other entities that have foreshadowed the Great Reset, etc. Just because he's producing food on these acreages right now doesn't mean that tomorrow he could abruptly put an end to that.
And he's also big on kind of like, he put a lot of money into Beyond Meat or Impossible. So, he might be those just the typical soy, corn, wheat, and stuff, growing that, which isn't necessarily against his agenda. JD, are you able to show this video of the crops, the animals getting shot, and then I'll leave it open to Bruce, but maybe Patrick first, because me and Patrick differ in relation to diet. And is it ethical to eat animals and things like that? We had a back and forth with that, but since you're a farmer, maybe Pat can directly ask you, and we can do that after you just show the quick. If you post the link, I can put it whatever the YouTube link of shooting animals.
Yeah, while I was speaking, I wasn't looking. I can look real quick. Are you looking for something like a minute long or something like that?
To get to the a minute, 3 minutes,
okay.
whatever.
Let me find a short one.
I'll let you talk. Is there anything you want to give feedback to JD about while he's looking for this YouTube stream here?
I wanted to point out that my beliefs are not founded on fact, on scientific scientism or whatever. My beliefs about.
Are you using common sense?
I'm using my spiritual common sense. The reason why I don't eat meat and why I've chosen meat is because I know what it does to me. All right. When I eat meat, okay, and this is personal and it doesn't equate to anyone else, then my beliefs do not force anyone to have faith in what I believe in. All right. I believe that if I consume them, and it's not even it's something that I feel and that I know, if that animal was killed, all right, through some form of like, I don't know, is beaten to death, or I don't know how they kill them. They have all kinds of different ways of killing them, but the animal has feelings, okay? The animal goes through stuff before that happens. And I think that like, let's say that just like animism, which is one of the first religions in the world, okay, which all other religions stem from, is I believe that when you eat the animal, you also eat that essence. And you will also eat the emotions that animal went through just before it died. So if it was going through anxiety or anguish or sadness or all these shitty emotions that happen before someone dies, I think that that's what you consume, and you are what you eat. So that's a literal expression that I think everybody should think about, is you're not just eating flesh, you are eating the emotions in that flesh. So this is my personal choice.
Okay, I just want to see, I don't think that JD might have got cut off. So JD, you can come back online, probably when he was trying to look for the shooting of animals. Like,
I don't agree with
JD, I think we can all agree that these, mass-produced cattle that are not in their natural habitat, I think we can all agree, and JD included, regenerative farmers don't agree with that. Also, I find that concentrating on how they live their life, if they're out in the pastures, if they're actually being protected by the farmer from prey that would obviously prey on them, and then be slaughtered, whether it's a quick blade to the knife and there's seconds or other methods, because those animals in the wild would also die, actually horrible deaths in the wild. They can go through famines, they can go through droughts. These wild animals, they can get sickness.
But we are conscious beings. We are conscious of our existence, okay? And if you're like going, okay, all right, I'm going to go right back to the Bible and the 10 freaking commandments. It says, thou shalt not kill. So what right does any human being on this planet have to kill anything? Because killing is killing. Who cares if you kill a frog or you kill a freaking human or you kill whatever you kill, you're killing. So will you tell me and explain to me why the hell, excuse me for the swear word, but why the hell are we killing animals? And why is it all of a sudden okay? All right? When the commandments say, thou shalt not kill. I mean, but it's simple. And plus, even Jesus said, all right, love everything or everyone as though you love yourself. So that means I think he wasn't just talking about every human being, but I think he was talking about every living thing on this planet.
Well, he says
should have respect.
So it's not everything. I think
if you have a dog as a neighbor, I mean,
yeah, well, I think what JD, I'm going to allow him to talk. I think what JD is about to say is that there is zero food sustenances that does not kill another living organism. And I think that is what we're going to say. We're going to say that plant agriculture is not devoid of murdering animals. It's just an unfortunate reality that animals do die in animal agriculture. And then I think that JD and I we're on the side that would say the unfortunate reality is that there are nutrients that are completely devoid from the plant kingdom, so that if the only reason we can maintain a truly vegan diet is because we have companies that can make supplementation, and that it's like a modern benefit to strictly eat animal food, which is why a lot of vegans would say, look, I would rather take care of chickens, and they're going to plop out those eggs that are unfertilized anyways, and I'll take care of them and I'll protect them, and they'll die from natural causes. As well as some people would say the same thing about cows. You know, that like I'm gonna protect this cow. It'll be like a pet, and I'll just happen to milk them. I think that cows need to be milked, and JD might talk more about that. That they don't suffer by being milked. So I'll let JD go into it.
But I'll ask you a simple question though. Hold on a sec. I want to ask you a simple question though. Why is it we're the only mammals on this planet that drink another animal's milk? Why is it every single animal on this planet drinks from their own species, but we drink from another animal or another species? Explain that to me. It just blows my mind.
So ants, okay, certain kinds of ants, what they do is they actually have another kind of bug that they actually milk. It's like a sugary substance that they feed to the queen ants. So they literally farm these organisms, and it's like a symbiotic relationship. As you know, ants are extremely smart. And what they're literally doing is taking care of this bug so that they can feed off of this sugary secretion that they give to the queen. And then eventually when they stop producing the sugar, they will also eat it. So ants, there at least is one organism that is using another organism and feeding off of its secretion. That's all I got to say on that one. Did you have anything else?
I mean, if you look out through...
Go ahead.
I just wanted to point out that if you look out through everything in nature, everything kills everything to survive, or practically. Like it's always an ecosystem, all right? That's how nature functions. But I don't know if you noticed, human beings stand out from nature. And I'm not saying we are a part of nature. We are a part of nature. Okay, we're. So what I believe in is, first of all, like through scientific research, I realized that we don't even have the enzymes or the sugars necessary to digest meat correctly, like a cat would do, or a lion, or any other animal that eats meat, which is literally a carnivore animal. The human being does not have the enzymes, and well, not the same ones as the ones that these carnivores have. And we also wait. Our intestines are the intestines of these carnivores are shorter than us. Our intestines are very long. So what that means is it takes a longer time to digest stuff. And what do you mean?
Let's let finish, and then JD, you can jump in.
Well, go ahead, JD. I'd like to hear your.
Yeah. Our hydrochloric acid pH is actually even more than coyotes, and that is used to digest meats. And by the way, we also have a gallbladder that is specifically used to digest saturated fats also, which is interesting. Pat, did you want to continue a little bit and let JD after, or do you want JD to kind of go back on and challenge that? Bruce, did you want to say something?
Well, actually, I would like to
let Bruce
hear what he has to say.
I wanted to say
something. Let Bruce, and then we'll let JD.
5 minutes ago, I wanted to talk to respond to what Pat was saying, and to take his defense in the stupidity of the human race and everyone that has to do with beef, cattle, production, sales, bull sperm. Okay, we don't have to kill animals in a savage way. And there's two ways. We can kill them indefinitely without them ever living. It's still savage, but they won't have any pain, and we still don't even do that. Okay, we don't have quality control in the areas where they have the meat, where I've seen people rip the testicles and heads and penises off animals and destroy them. I'm not going to get into deeper detail on that, but that's happening in 85% of the places, guaranteed. We can now grow meat in petri dishes. We can now grow. So we can't. We
can grow muscle meat.
No, I want to know, and I'm not like, I'm interested to know if we can. We can grow.
Where can I buy it?
Go ahead.
No, you're on spot, man.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, though. You can chime in for the meat. I'll continue after. Like, I want to let you talk, Garland, if you want to.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so so meat has been grown in petri dishes, whether people say yes or no. I've seen the meat. I've spoken to a person who's tasted the meat. He works in a laboratory to create this. All you need is 2 friggin' cows to have sex, and you'll never have to ever harm another cow again. There's no need to produce cow meat when we can produce stuff like synthetic meats. We're now changing the synthetic DNA.
I've seen the research on this.
Yeah, it is researched. And we're changing the synthetic DNA of humans. It's a synthetic DNA we're doing. Elon Musk said we can grow ourselves wings. Why can't we not grow meat in a laboratory? We can, unless you think we can't.
Well, it's because it's muscle meat, right? I agree. No, obviously they're able to grow this protein in a petri dish. The problem is that meat, okay, has saturated fat, and within the saturated fat, there's fat-soluble vitamins, there's taurine, there's carcinogen. So they are only able to grow that protein aspect, and in fact, they add those damn seed oils. So it's omega-6 polyunsaturated fats. That's the thing. It's not. Meat is so much more than just the muscle. Go ahead, Bruce. Do you want to continue or
no? Go ahead. That's what I mentioned.
I'm answering when JD. I should have said JD. Go ahead, JD.
Yeah.
Okay. The first thing I'll respond to is what Pat said about the human digestive system, that we are herbivores because we have a longer digestive tract than, say, a cat. That's not, I know that he said he doesn't believe in scientism, but without science, and he was using human exceptionalism a while ago, that we're the only animals that consume dairy. We're also the only animals that will sit in front of a computer and have a live stream. Does that mean that we shouldn't be on here right now?
That's a great response.
Now, the other issue with the long digestive tract is that we're mammals, and there's an entire scientific field called mammalogy. And in the scientific field of mammalogy, we find that there are 2 types of herbivorous mammals. And a vegan will say, but we're not herbivores, we're vegans. Well, there you go. You've moved from science into a cult or a dogmatic conversation. Let's go back to.
I just want to point out that I am not vegan. I am not vegan. Just
you're
wanted
not
to point
vegan,
that
but
out.
you're using vegan arguments. You're using a vegan perspective that it's wrong to kill animals, etc. All of your arguments are the same arguments that vegans use. So
you're muted, eh? I can't hear you, Bruce.
Sorry, sorry. It's a human perspective. It's a heartfelt perspective. It's a common sense of love and respect. So that's where you must agree that.
Thank you, Bruce.
Yeah, and that's where we are. There's no fighting. In reality, we're all on the same level, but there's that difference where I don't give a shit if someone gets his balls ripped off, but I do. It's the difference. That's all it is. It's how much you care or not, because there's nothing. Everything's savage, and the science, I believe, on my end, is wrong. Science is always evolving. It's assumptions. It's theories. It's nothing concrete, like the mathematical.
And it doesn't have a heart.
That's right.
Science doesn't have a heart,
speaking
man.
Speaking of a heart, Bruce, do you eat fruit?
Yes, but don't look at my size. I honestly have eaten an apple before. Yeah, not a big eater, but yes, I do eat fruit. Yeah, I've eaten fruit. I love blueberries, fruits like that. Yeah, strawberries and stuff. I'm not a big eat an apple a day, but I love watermelon fruits and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. They're two of the most common pesticides used in fruit orchards and berry orchards
Bad,
are
man.
neonicotinoid pesticides, which are driving many species of animals towards extinction, and has been determined by the Environmental Protection Agency to be harming all of those endangered species.
I'm against that, man. I hear you on that.
I know that you're against it, but those animals are still dying so that you can eat the fruit. Another pesticide that's being used in the fruit industry.
But I hold on. Sorry.
Let me finish. Or do you want to speak? I'll let you speak.
You're not willing to change. You're trying to shoot the fruit on me. We're just debating here. I'm a big debater. If you're going to shoot the fruit on me, I don't give a shit about fruit, and I would quit selling fruit to stop the pesticides. Would you quit farming?
Would I quit farming?
I agree with you, and I'm willing to stop eating fruit because of the pesticides.
If I stop farming, then what is going to happen is that there's not going to be any regenerative. If people like me stop doing what we're doing, then there's only going to be carbon leaving the soil. There won't be carbon going back into the soil.
Carbon's not real. The story of carbon is good. Carbon's not real. The story of the WEF is pushing that. The carbon story.
Let's eliminate farmers altogether for a second here. Let's eliminate them. Every single human being grows a garden and grows their own food. Have their own chicken, lay their own eggs, and if they want to kill things and eat meat, whatever they want to do, they do it themselves, and they don't depend on a system for it. Yeah, that's what I'm done with that. Man.
Yeah, but farmers are now. I'm being honest. Farmers are our livelihood. We wouldn't be alive without them.
Because of the system. Because nature would flourish if humans weren't there to destroy it.
Yeah, I get it. But farmers, for me, I get it. I respect the ones that eat meat and the ones that don't too. Like I'm a meat eater, by the way. That's the worst of it. I am a meat eater, but I do respect the friggin' farmers. It's what's controlling the market. If not, places like people that farms or Garland Farm, if you're a real farm, yeah, we need these friggin' places. But I'm just trying to. You must know a bit about Garland Farms without putting words.
Yeah, but I'm not prejudiced against farmers, and in the essence, I think farmers are hard workers, and this is a very hard vocation. It's not even a job; it's a vocation. It's something that
Garland Farms CO2
it's very impressive.
Is real.
I have nothing against farmers, but I just want to point out. But I just wanted to point out, like, let's say we took the farmers out of the equation in the sense that planet Earth would have no problem rejuvenating itself if the human being was not involved. If we were not here, that's what I'm saying.
We'll let JD.
If we were all farming, exactly. We should all be doing.
Go ahead, JD. Do you mind, Pat? I'll let him continue. Go ahead, JD.
No, I'm fine. I'm done. I was done.
Okay. Go ahead, finish what your thought was.
Well, what I was going to say about the human digestive system is that for mammals, there's two types of mammal that can live off of plants, and that's either going to be the ruminant, which is considered the foregut fermenter, which I described earlier, or the hindgut fermenter, like gorillas. Hindgut fermenters have a functioning cecum. We have something that's like a tiny little cecum, but it doesn't function. It's called the appendix. The gorilla cecum is huge, and that's where they digest plant matter or fiber. And what happens when that fiber has been completely consumed by the bacteria, then that mass of bacteria will enter the traffic of the fecal matter that's about to exit the gorilla, and the gorilla somehow knows, just like all hindgut fermenters, somehow knows that there's a butt cookie about to be delivered. He's about to excrete food. And so they'll catch that, what's called a cecotrope, and they'll eat it. Mountain gorillas do this. Horses do this. All hindgut fermenters will eat cecotropes. This is their source of some of the essential fatty acids, fat soluble vitamins, B12, and without those cecotropes, the hindgut fermenter would lose their life, because that's where they get a lot of their nutritional sustenance from, what I'm calling a butt cookie or a cecotrope.
So JD, what you're basically saying is that it would be completely unethical to eat animal sources of nutrition if we were able to get everything we need from plants. However, the unfortunate reality is that our digestive tract is unable to extract what these ruminant animals are able to create, whether it's with the microbiota. And
that's interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, that's why it becomes a ethical situation, that it's not fair to humans to have to be dependent on pharmaceutical and supplementation companies because we have a heart for the animal. It's just the basic unfortunate reality that and that our digestive tract is not able to do the same thing as ruminant animals. Therefore, we need some source of animal food.
We'd have to talk to the aliens and ask them if they used to eat burgers or if they actually changed.
But am I correct in saying that's why it's just an unfortunate necessary evil that we need this, and the only reason we can talk about eliminating animal food at all is because we have companies that are able to supplement.
What nutrients are Garland Farms, like in general, when you're eating meat? Like, is there a way us as humans can eat something that has all those same minerals, maybe the same texture that wasn't actually animals? Has that ever been tested? It must.
Yes,
right?
and Santos. Yes, and Santos Bonacci. Santos Bonacci is one of the leading experts in that field. So if you look him up,
I know him.
Yeah, all right. You know him, all right. So I actually speak to him personally. So we have a little relationship on Messenger and everything. So
okay, I thought you were talking
he's
about
actually gave me permission to use.
Okay, go ahead.
No. Santos Bonacci.
Right.
He's one of the most leading experts in that field, right? So he literally explains what are the minerals that you could use and consume to have a healthier diet, and this is all connected through astrology and it's absolutely awesome and amazing. Bruce, you should look it up. It's crazy. So I even left. I think Jason left links for those sites that I was just talking about previously. I think just before you popped on, even.
So is he a fruitarian? Is he a vegan?
Santos Bonacci, I believe, is vegan. He's totally vegan.
Isn't it all about textures, Jason? Everyone, Garland Farms, like for us when we're eating something, like for taste, isn't it all about what the texture is? Like if I was to eat something, to choose something all of my life that I would always eat, and it would always be that texture, but that always has the vitamins. Wouldn't it be a simple friggin' fix doing that? That you have.
Well, I mean, animals, like as the carnivore diet has shown, for example, some people have lived at least we know 10 years with no nutritional deficiencies, especially if you're eating the whole animal. The minute that, but people, if you're eating fresh meat, there's trace amounts of vitamin C. If you are not doing a high carb diet, you require a lot less vitamin C, just enough to stave off scurvy. But the minute that you implement organ meats, which is what, like, for example, the Kenya, the Maasai currently, it has way more nutrients. So if you're eating the whole animal nose to tail, you can strictly live for the rest of your life on animal, like on that one animal. And that has been shown in Nutritional and Physical Degenerations book by Weston A. Price. We can look at Sally Fallon's huge research on kind of ancestral wisdom.
Can we live just on fish? Can we live just on fish and vegetables?
Well, I mean,
meat, like, does the fish compensate for meat?
Well, in nutritional physical
on a long period of time, like I'm talking about, like for a lifetime, could somebody live and be healthy eating fish but not eat any meat whatsoever, like no doves or birds or nothing?
It seems to say with Nutritional and Physical Degeneration, which is a book based on this man's research of going to areas that were not in contact with modern men. You have the people from the Scottish Isles, and what
The tribes.
they were unable to have ruminant animals. It was very mossy and very rocky. So they were able to, I believe, grow rye. That was their only plant source. And the rest was all, no, it wasn't rye, it was oats. The rest was
like
all
the Sentinel tribe. The Sentinel,
for their nutrients.
Yeah, the Sentinel tribe, the recently been talking about for the past 5-10 years, the Sentinel tribes that just reached humans like 10 years ago. They were like, they're fruit bearers, like they eat fruits and stuff like that. And it's like maybe they do eat meat, I don't know, but I mean, what's the perfect diet? These guys are living for they live to like 90, 100 years old, Yeah,
definitely. I think that the research that Weston A. Price has done, where we're not all sick trying to figure out what's making us sick. This guy had no agenda. He was a dentist. He formed the, I think, Canadian Dental Association. That's what he did. He went to about 20 different cultures in the early 20th century. He looked at their health factors, their bone density, what kind of diseases they had or didn't have, and what basically they were eating. These people were not in contact with any of the modern foods, such as the seed oils, such as refined flours and canned goods. And
Garland Farms wants to also respond after when you're done.
Sorry.
No, when you're done.
Garland Farms talk. Yes.
Thanks, Bruce.
No problem, man.
Go ahead.
Oh, first thing I'll say is that I did put a link in the private chat to one of the videos that you requested.
Do you want to watch that now and continue?
In just a second. I also wanted to tell Bruce that there are no, you said you'd stop eating fruits, but when we look at grains, legumes, roots, tubers, the entire plant crop agriculture, it doesn't matter what you're talking about. There is gargantuan amounts of intentional death going on through crop protection permits, which is shooting animals in the face for getting too close to the crops.
Oh yeah, also, I hear you.
And the pesticides, as well as the mining,
as well as
the petroleum reliance, as well as the agricultural runoff. Because now that we've tilled the soil and the soil can no longer absorb water, when it rains, all of those chemicals that are required to produce the plant foods that you like, all of those chemicals run off into the local streams. They make it to the rivers, and then the rivers dump into the ocean, and it's killing fish and other aquatic life all the way down the line. And now we have these oceanic dead zones. That's because of crop agriculture, not because of cows.
100%. I hear you 100% on that. I know a little bit about that, but what you're talking about is I've been hearing. And no, that I 100%. We have to revert to old times. In other words, so the problems are that the control of the animals, because we frigged up the territories by installing cities and pushing animals over and migrating them, and it's horrible what we did. We destroyed the ecosystems that save us.
Well, these are primarily the chemical companies that are relied upon by crop agriculture that are destroying the ecosystems.
Monsanto and everything and all those.
Yeah, and now Bayer bought Monsanto. So you've got the corporation that produces all the pharmaceuticals that's producing the chemicals that produce the food. And
poison.
Right.
Poison. That's all it is.
Right now, plant agriculture is poison.
I hear you.
At least we have a growing segment of animal agriculture that is raising regeneratively produced animals that live a wonderful life. And if you look into the slaughterhouse that's in Evant, Texas, near me,
it's hurting a lot of animals. I 100%.
When they kill an animal, it's lights out just like that. They don't sit there and torture it. In fact, it's not economically viable. It's not economically viable for a slaughterhouse to waste time torturing animals. They want as little pain and trouble every time they have to kill an animal as possible.
Yeah,
because if you sit there and
that
torture the animal,
yeah,
then that wastes time and it wastes
that
money.
has to be the goal. Like, I mean, I don't know about you if you're in the States, or I think, or if you're around Florida or something.
I'm in the States, Texas.
Yeah, right. Awesome, man. Yeah, all right, man. Awesome.
Wow.
Here in Canada,
Shout out to Texas.
Yeah, damn right, man. We have the Americans that have felt the most intensity of the border with the crowd. I'm not gonna get into it, but man, us Canadians, for me, the ones that are looking into what's going on, I know what everyone's enduring. The land, not to change the subject, but you guys are going through hell down there.
Yeah.
It's horrible, horrible. But good things are coming, I guess. We're sort of seeing some good things happening. Hopefully. Wish the best for you guys.
We have to meet the WEF head on. The entire world population that's not involved with it, that is against it. We're going to have to meet it head on. One of the problems is this vegan movement. The vegan movement is actually playing into the hands of the WEF, because the WEF want us to rely upon.
Yes.
They don't want us to be able to breed our own animals.
Yeah, that's right.
They want us to rely on some large corporation like Bayer that's growing meat in a petri dish, and for us to rely on them for our B12 and all of our nutritional sustenance. That is a WEF program, and this veganism is a perfect program for the WEF to promote. The one thing I wanted to say to Jason is, you described it earlier, us eating meat, having to kill animals as kind of a necessary evil. I think you ought to think that through, like sit down and really think about that, because this is the system that God created. It's not evil for a lion to go out and kill a gazelle. That's the system that God created. That system. It's our subjective. We're very emotional creatures, and those emotions have really been kind of cultivated by corporations like Walt Disney, that makes these movies, these cartoons that anthropomorphize human prey animals and make us look at them as other people. Well, they're not other people.
I don't think that it's evil. I shouldn't have said that. Because I mean, I even brought up the Christian and spiritual aspect. It was the wrong.
It just has to be done in a civil way, right, guys? I mean, it just has to be done in a civil way. Even Pat doesn't eat meat. I'm sure if there was a way of like literally doing things safely, it wouldn't be so heartfelt for us, for people that have feelings,
Bruce, have you ever heard of the phrase,
I'm just against taking life?
Out of sight, out of mind.
Agriculture also takes life. Like that's
right. What I was going to say earlier about the rodenticides is most of the rodenticides that are required to bring lots, the grain and the fruits to market, and the potatoes and so forth, because field mice and rats will and moles and voles that are underground burrowing mammals, they have to they feed them. They trick them with poisons called anticoagulant rodenticides.
I even saw the videos. I even saw some of the videos of that.
Okay, those anticoagulants will go in and they'll remove the animal's ability to clot. They'll thin out the blood so much that the animal begins to bleed to death internally. Yeah. And it can take 10 to 14 days for these animals, each one of them, millions and millions and millions of these animals slowly bleeding to death in agony over 2 weeks. You compare that, if you were to add up all that time for all those animals and then compare that to the suffering that a cow goes through when it gets popped in the head and it's out just like that at the slaughterhouse, the amount of suffering that's involved.
I'm okay with that. I've seen that literally here in town, the hammers. Right. I've seen that.
If we're going, I think that we should slaughter animals as quickly and humanely as possible. But if we're going to hold animal agriculture to that standard, then we need to also be cognizant of the suffering and death that's going on with the crop agriculture and hold
100%.
them to the same standards too, because there's a lot of
100% behind
there's
you
a
on
lot
that.
of virtue signaling going on by fruit eaters and people who say that animal agriculture is bad because of the death involved, that are sticking their head in the sand in regard to the crop deaths.
Getting informed, man. People don't know it.
True.
I'm sure the worst of it, 90% of the people eating fruit are for the environment, and they have no clue what they're doing. It's so sad.
They think that they're for the environment.
Before we continue,
but
can I
wait.
just show this?
Don't, you can't blame it all on. Wait. You can't just blame it. Wait. You can't just blame. Well, I'm not saying you're blaming it all on veganism and something. Obviously, they have a part in this, but I mean, if you're like, how can you? No, just go ahead, because I lost my train of thought, and I was just because I figured like, why?
What you're going to say is that vegans are such a small part of the population.
Yeah.
How can you blame it on the vegans? Here's the reason: is because meat eaters are not trying to dictate to vegans what they can eat. Meat eaters are not playing into the hands of the World Economic Forum. Meat eaters are not trying to make it a crime not to eat meat. Vegans are trying to turn meat eaters into murderers.
Yes,
they want us charged with murder.
But I understand.
That's what's the problem.
Oh, that's crazy. I mean, I'm not there. I'm obviously not there.
I agree with Garland, but Pat is not there. It's sort of Pat just for the heartfelt. It's just for live and let live. You know, it's like don't harm anyone.
Yeah, I'm
like
kind of a peace and love guy. You know, and
I just want to show this video just in case the live stream cuts off, and then I'll let Pat next talk.
Okay.
Why would the stream cut off?
I don't know. Just I'm an idiot. I might press something.
Who knows?
Yeah.
The WEF might have a button on us.
Well, you see, while he's doing that, what I wanted to say was that you know, even if you're like, it's okay though. You eat meat, but your side dish is some carrots and shit like that. So you know, I mean, meat eaters are just as well to blame. Even before vegan came onto the table, I mean, the meat eaters were still eating corn and all this other side dishes.
The meat eaters are not claiming that their diet is cruelty free.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay.
And you're not claiming that our diet doesn't involve death.
Okay.
There's no volume there, Jason. We can't hear it.
Oh, I didn't start it yet. Okay, I'll start it now. Okay, you can see it.
No, let's wait until Bruce gets back.
Okay.
But real quick, just fit that in there. Get this. I'm in Pat's mind. Pat is okay, vegan or whatever. He respects, I'm sure, people the way he eats the meat, and it's that he just wants to be done civilized. But we have no choice but to eat effing salad. So when he says that he prefers to be vegan, it's a lot more, in a way I find respectful, as compared, and a lot less problems than actually killing cattle. But I'm not against killing cattle. It's just the way it's done for me.
Why do we have no choice but to eat salad?
Pardon me?
Yeah, why is salad essential?
What nutrients are in salad?
Oh, I don't know at all. I'm just telling you, what would we eat? What would we eat as a savage race? Plants, right? And then we start running after animals.
There's lots of study on the diet of man before agriculture, and we weren't eating. We were eating seasonally available fruits, nuts, roots, tubers. But the one food that was year round was fish and meat. That's year-round food. And we do not have a functioning rumen, and we do not have a functioning cecum. Therefore, we cannot survive on a plant diet, only plant diet.
Exactly. But we used to kill. We used to kill for food, but now we kill sort of for the market. It's hard.
Well, see right there, Santos. Santos explains what the human body needs. If you go back to that there, Jason, 2 seconds. Go back to that. Okay, look, there's right there. You go back up. Oh well, and click on the chart there, the second tab there to. There's a chart there.
Yeah.
There's a second right there. Yeah, click there. Click that chart. Okay, so if you could click on the first one, doesn't matter which one.
View image. Does it go bigger this way? Yeah, here you go, Pat.
Okay, so this is what Santos Bonacci explains: is the way it functions is every in your brain you have 12 cranial nerves. Okay, and these 12 cranial nerves are related to a different salt, and so there are 12 different mineral salts, like magnesium, and I could list like all 12, but that's not the point. What I'm just saying is like the human brain literally only needs that to survive, doesn't need nothing else. Okay, so this is what Santos Bonacci is explaining: is that if you get the nutrients, and all of these things are found in mostly, if you look them up, these mineral salts, okay, are mostly found in vegetables and fruits. Okay. And the other thing that I wanted to point out is that
the human brain is made mostly of cholesterol. Where's cholesterol on there?
You don't need
Cholesterol
any.
and DHA.
The human brain is made primarily of cholesterol. Where is cholesterol in that circle?
Well, I don't see it.
I
I
can't see
can't
it.
tell you.
Human brain composed of
Neurons.
What is
Well, yeah.
myelin? What is myelin composed of?
myelin sheath is fat and cholesterol.
And myelin makes up a large portion of the brain.
Yeah, but I could go down that rabbit hole and tell you what's your bones made out of? Vitamin D. So vitamin D, vitamin C. So what's the most main source of vitamin D
Calcium
and
and
vitamin C on this
magnesium.
planet? It's the sun. And if the sun is so we're light beings, because we could literally come from the sun, because our bones, the information they get is created from the sun, vitamin D, vitamin C. Your blood is created from your bones. You understand? So we could go down a multitude of rabbit holes like that, you know.
Okay, next
and the
week-
marrow is fat.
But it still comes from the bone.
Next
Bone
week,
marrow,
we have
bone-
Jason and Garland Farms. We'll have Pat and Bruce. We're going to have to form some type of big debate to attract so many people. I'm just saying that these conversations, honestly, Garland Farms, Jason, Pat, I appreciate all your information. I learn every day from each and every one of you and everyone online. And it's an interesting subject. And sometimes we feel that, no, he's full of shit. And we'll say things with no competence or no backfield or anything, you know.
Hey, let's look at just the video. It's a minute, and
Let's watch
then we can go from there.
Don't forget the sound.
Okay.
Yes.
You can see it? Good.
Holy crap.
Imagine them still moving.
During crop production. They use pesticides on those plants, and combine harvesters, they rip up those massive fields of wheat, and they're killing all these animals, and the mice are being exposed to predators, and the farmers are shooting animals on these crops, and they're trapping animals to keep them away from the crops, and they're killing wild animals to keep them away from the crops. If you're going to use that argument against a vegan,
Yeah, but the percentage. The
Wait,
problem
let's-
is the percentage.
You want to see there's. So these are farmers.
Crop farmers.
It's control of vermin is how I see it, because as compared to what they kill in factories, they kill 10,000 every 5 minutes of the chickens. They're putting them through grinders. Like if they kill 30 a night, a farmer, is it as bad as somebody, producing the meat? I don't know.
Well, see, that's the problem. What we're talking about is no one is disagreeing that the current paradigm of how some places, which is not everywhere, the food production is not in line with the natural ecological or God-given cycle. So no one here is saying that these modern methods of farming are ethical at all. What JD is saying is that he's returning to the proper regenerative way where the animals are actually shepherded and protected from prey. They receive all the water. There's no danger. They have a good life, and then in a matter of seconds, they are dead when the time comes. So I think that the unethical aspect of it is their lifestyle prior to dying. Because if we weren't doing this to the animals in the wild would suffer, would actually get eaten balls first from lions and tigers and bears.
That's nature. That's nature. Yeah, it's a natural process. I mean,
Exactly.
whether we feel it or
All right then. Well, let me ask you an out of this world question then. An out of this world question. All right, I have an out of this world question, man. What are you gonna do if aliens pop up here and have the same thinking as we do, but we're their food? Huh? Answer that.
Well, I mean, as you know, I think that aliens are demonic, so it wouldn't surprise me that they want to eat.
What if we're the aliens? What if we're the aliens? What if
they're
we
higher
We've got the WEF. We're facing the WEF. We don't need aliens. We've got the World Economic Forum that basically is looking at us as prey. So we don't have to imagine.
Aliens. They are.
We don't have to imagine. And Bruce, I wanted to address something that you said, because this illustrates the emotional power of words. Because whenever you talk about the animals that die for animal agriculture, you speak from the heart. But when you talk about the animals that die for crop agriculture, your heart goes right out the window, and now you're labeling them with the term vermin. And you think that by slapping that vermin label on there, that you don't have to be emotional about their torture and death anymore. But no, talk to people who have had rats for pets and see how intelligent and sweet and loving each rat is. And then next time you eat your apple, imagine that on that plate is not an apple, but the multiple rats that had to die a slow anticoagulant death so that you could bite into that apple virtue signal about how animal agriculture is so cruel, while ignoring all of the animals that die, and you'll justify it by slapping that vermin label on it. And that is a vegan trick, is that they don't want to care about the animals that die for crop agriculture. So they're going to call them pests and vermin. And so it's okay to kill vermin, but it's not okay to kill food.
I get it.
But I don't agree with any death.
But I'm not talking about vermin. I'm talking about you're on your farm, and this wolf comes by to eat one of your chickens. Well, unfortunately, even for me, and I don't even have a gun, okay? But I'd shoot him right between the eyes to save the farm. I'm just being honest. Like, I'm talking, and I see these videos of Americans and other countries. It just so happens I'm in the States on the videos, but they're killing. I saw one guy overnight, Garland Farms. I mean, it was excessive. It was bad. It was like 46 to 50 wild boars. The wild boars are killing him in the head. You can.
It's a small night.
It is savage. I'm not going to hide that. You see, they don't die right away. They but I mean, how are we supposed to live between having farms and still making money?
Yeah, I don't think that's the question. The question goes back to, why is it okay to kill to protect crops, but it's not okay to kill to procure meat and organ meat?
No, but don't forget, I agree.
It's not okay to kill.
I agree. For me, though, I agree with killing the meat. Then it's Pat right after 3, 2, 1.
What percentage of your diet does not require lethal crop protection?
Pardon me. Sorry, Garland Farms.
I'm sorry. I was asking Pat, what percentage of your diet does not require lethal crop protection measures?
Well, actually, I haven't even known about it before you brought it up.
That's because they're applying.
I was illiterate.
Pat wouldn't apply that law.
And hold on a second though. But first of all, I don't agree with any animal being killed whatsoever. So it means that I don't have the same perspective of somebody labeling an animal as vermin. I don't think animals are vermin. I really don't. I like you said, I have a Walt Disney perspective on animals. I think that they're wonderful. They're beautiful creatures, and that they should be treated as much respect as like any other human being. And I think it's wrong to kill them in any sense of the form. And Bruce, just to answer, like to build on what you said before, say that you would kill a wolf to save your chickens, man. Well, you know what? I have chickens, okay? And the other day, I went out there, and I have like there was a skunk, okay? And I have a gun. So I went out, took my gun, and I wanted to go kill the skunk, man, okay? Because he was in the house. And I pointed the gun at the freaking thing,
I wouldn't kill a skunk.
And it was
I wouldn't kill a skunk.
Dude, it was just looking at me, and I couldn't do it. I just couldn't pull the trigger, man.
Whatever savage,
I just left it there.
Whatever comes up to me and snarls, I will kill it. That's it. That's my mentality. I'm just adding.
But I've tried
to cause even more problems.
I just can't kill.
No, but I have another perspective. We're like 4 different perspectives now, right? In reality, but that's. I agree with you for the saving the animals, but I do agree to some, like Garland Farms agrees in killing animals in a not savage way. I also agree that some, and instead of saying vermin, Garland Farms, maybe animal control, to control the population, to try to wager out the population in that respective. And
how do you think, how are you going to kill them humanely? You're demanding that cattle slaughter do that humanely, but I don't hear you holding that same standard to your animal control.
I will reply to what you said, and I agree with you 101,000%. I'm telling you that you're not reading me right now. It's that I agree that with what you just said has to be done, and only done that way. Absolutely, by the safety. So the killing of the vermin, the killing of the vermin, whether it be done through an instant death, we'd have to find the way. But until that, no, I do not agree with a farmer or anyone that goes out with his friggin' gun and pops them. No, I don't agree with that. But I agree with finding a civil way of doing the farming, like you said, and controlling the pet population in a civil way. I agree with both ways. And I hear you on the agriculture, how it's killing animals. I get it. But I think both ways.
Yeah, because if you looked at that deer, man, it was like, oh my God, it was literally melting.
But was that deer?
That was absolutely horrifying.
You guys, are you sure that wasn't a shot? That's really the chemicals that was doing that to the back, or is that a friggin' a hunter that shot the shit out of it?
That was a deer that was bedded up in a field that was run over by a combine harvester. Okay. So when you're eating cereal and you're telling yourself, I'm such a virtuous person, and you think about and that's just a large animal that was maimed. There's millions and millions of smaller rodents and moles and voles, birds.
Possums, a whole bunch of
quail and dove that are bedded up in there.
Wild turkeys.
Okay, but it's an out of sight, out of mind situation. Out of sight, out of mind. It leads to this incredible virtue signaling where plant eaters are, people who are vegetarian and vegan, pointing their fingers at meat eaters saying, you're a bad person because your diet kills animals. And they're so ignorant of agriculture, and they're really not even willing to learn. They won't even sit and listen quietly to the truth about the animals that are being killed.
You must
their diet.
Yeah,
just one second.
Go ahead.
Just Bruce. What I'll do is Pat, Bruce, and back to JD. Sorry for cutting off, or else there's too much talking and it's hard to understand. Pat, my question to you is: do you acknowledge that even if you go completely plant-based, that to a certain extent we still have blood on our hands? Do you acknowledge that, or after seeing the whole issue, what JD's been saying about the harvesting, shooting, and stuff like that? Do you acknowledge that to a certain extent, even plant-based agriculture, everyone still has blood on their hands?
He won't.
I'm gonna say two things. Okay. I'm with your first point. I'm going to agree. I do agree that no one's hands are clean in this story. Okay. But my second point is going to be that if anybody wants to stop personally, like you were kind of like attacking the vegans and right. I forgot your name, and I can't.
JD.
Jason, you should put the names back on so I can. All right, so we're kind of like attacking them, and I didn't felt compelled by that. In other words, I didn't even felt attacked by that because my personal issue. But I don't know, but wait, let me finish. What I was trying to say is, in other words, if I'm not eating meat, it's because I want to get closer to God. So it has nothing to do with like everything that you guys talk about, right? Like the farmers shooting
with killing other animals. I
have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand. I didn't even know about it before you spoke about it. But in other words, I think it's just a personal choice, and that no one should impose their personal beliefs on others. So my personal belief is that I will never, ever try to convince you, brother, to not eat meat. That's your thing, man. You understand? You do the research you want to do.
He had a good point.
And
Garland Farms had a good point. He had a good friggin' controversial point. Like you want to say that meat's bad. I like that he brought that up. It's like, it sort of brought us on our guards, but you're innocent.
But that would be
salad. He doesn't want to kill animals. I get it. But
so does the rabbit.
No, but that's not the point.
Rabbit wants to eat salad too. That's why it catches a bullet.
Yeah.
And so whenever he's saying my food is not killing animals, I want to be closer to God. Here's what should happen. Do you remember those sunglasses that the guy wore in the movie They Live, where he could put the glasses on and he could see the propaganda and it would say obey or consume or reproduce? Imagine if we had glasses for people like Pat, where he could put the glasses on.
Wait, JD.
Yeah, but I could say the same thing for you, buddy. I could seriously say the same thing for you, and there's no reason for you to insult me.
I'm going to defend Patrick. First of all, Patrick is not a vegan activist. He has
that's it. Get that out of your head.
Okay. No, it's because he's trying to make.
Wait.
Bruce knows what I'm trying to say. Bruce knows that I've got a point.
JD, just 1 second, guys, just stop. Pat's not an activist. Pat has a spiritual belief about meat, which is fine. So he's definitely not an activist. He has never pushed veganism. It's his personal choice. So when we talk about it, this is not. Don't think of him as an activist. And my brother is definitely not a vegetarian. So go after the vegans. Go after the ideology, but don't go after Pat.
Exactly. But don't attack my personal integrity.
No, that's why I stopped it. He doesn't know you.
Well, here's the thing, Pat. The thing, Pat, is that I could say that you're attacking my integrity because you said the reason you're not eating meat is because you want to be closer to God.
I agree with Pat.
You're basically telling me that by eating meat, I'm going to be further away from God. So that is an attack on my integrity. You're telling me that I am far from God because I eat meat, and you're closer to God because you don't eat meat. And what I was trying to say is that if you had a pair of glasses,
I said it was my personal choice.
Instead of seeing an apple on the plate, you saw all the animals that had to die so that you could have that apple on the plate, then you wouldn't be ignorant.
That's the same thing for the meat. How many animals had to die for you to have a plate of meat on the table? It's the same thing.
But I'm not
no controversy here.
I'm closer to God.
I don't give a shit.
I'm closer to God.
The whole thing is honestly, I don't.
Closer to God because I'm not killing animals.
If you are close to God, that's fine.
Pat, no animals die with your fucking fruit. Your apple, okay, that you're eating, okay. Hundreds of millions of apples will be eaten for a truckload of animals to die. But on his end, on your end, Garland,
that's not true.
Yes, on your end, there are billions of animals daily being slaughtered, and there's only 25% of it regulated. The rest of it's all being slaughtered by hands, bats, and friggin' baseballs because they have no budgets or money, and the government's paying to hide that. Instead of paying for a better slaughterhouse, the shit stains pay to continue to shut up and let them kill. I slaughterhouse near here, bunch of savages, no respect for the animals. They're killing them, they're hanging them up, and doing a whole bunch of shit to them.
I just want to say one thing. Okay, let's just go back to when better times. Okay, first of all, somebody who is eating a carnivorous diet, or even for that fact, an omnivorous diet with supplementation of plants, but the majority bulk of it is animal food. Okay, one cow, grass-fed, raised to slaughter, will feed a family for 1 year. There's one death. Okay, then after the chickens can be used for eggs, they're not getting killed. And then finally, what? 24 chickens get killed for their meat in the end. So if you're actually following a truly carnivorous or an omnivorous diet, and you're actually homesteading, where people used to create their own food and didn't even rely, they would rely on local farmers. The majority of people's employment back in the good old days was farming. So it's not true that there's billions and billions. There's actually a lot less if somebody is raising one cow, one goat, one pig, slaughtered per year. There's 3 deaths and 12 deaths from a chicken.
What's Pat gonna eat? What's Pat gonna eat if he doesn't eat animals? Is he gonna eat shoes or leather? He has to eat fruit.
Dude, you know what? You know what? I want to tell you something about that, Bruce. You know what? When you walk into the grocery store, there's freaking nothing to eat. Okay? So let's say you stop eating meat for a second, all right? Just amuse this theory, all right? Just let's say you stop eating meat for a second. Right. Well, even if you did walk into the grocery store to go buy some freaking vegetables, well, did you know that not one vegetable in the grocery store or one fruit is freaking biological, or in the English term, they would say organic? So there's no, first of all, okay, so anyway, even if you did become a vegan, vegetarian, or anything, it's still a trap. It's still going to give you cancer. It's still going to give you all kinds of diseases. Everything in the freaking grocery store is there to kill you. So, I mean, we're there maybe arguing about things that are out there, crops growing, animals dying, but the freaking government's killing us. We're freaking selling right on the freaking shelf when you go to the grocery store and in the pharmaceutical stores. And then they're saying that cocaine kills people when the freaking drugstores are freaking killing people all over the planet, and prescribing as cancer therapy instead of giving them the cure, because of obviously they all have the cures for every freaking disease out there, but no, they're giving out treatments for it, you know, and that's what they're pushing. They're pushing bullshit and fucking lies and a bunch of fucking stupid arguments and dualism that bring people to a certain place where they're arguing about a bunch of nonsense when nobody's freaking pointing the finger at the people that are fucking causing this to our fucking country and any other country and any other people that are out there right now. So it has nothing to do with the difference of nobody gives a fuck what kind of fucking shit you eat. You can fucking eat shit if you want to. I don't give a fuck who you are. Do what you want, man. I don't care. But there's one thing that's but there's one thing that's very important, and everybody needs to know out there, that if we're here together right now and we're speaking about this, is because, in other words, we're trying to bring out the truth to you people. Because, in other words, everybody here is a defender of truth. Everybody here is a truth seeker. So nobody here has to judge anybody about any of their beliefs, because it doesn't really matter in the end.
Agreed. Okay.
I said
Jason, I posted a link in the private chat about the neonicotinoid pesticides that I think is relevant. Okay, if you could just pull it up.
Bring that.
I'd like Bruce to see it.
So do you want me to just post a link? Post a link.
Fluoride in the water.
I posted a link.
Put it in the toothpaste.
Do you want me to actually play it though?
Well, no, it's not a video or anything. It's just an article by the Biological Diversity.
They put pesticides on us too, Garland? Us too were getting sprayed by freaking pesticides. Not only the freaking fruits.
Yeah.
I just posted it, guys. Can I just give one, an image? And Pat, I think the last things you said, I think we all agree that that everything in the food at the grocery store is tainted. The meat's antibiotic and all that, those craps. The fruits are GMO'd.
Hey, Jason, you hear about Bill Gates salads or Garland farms? Bill Gates nanotechnology salad is going to insert the COVID inside of the salad, so people will be automatically boosted.
Dude,
that's why we have a salad shortage right now.
Yeah, they have spermicidal corn. Okay, they're really screwing us. But I just wanted to show here some of the natural, more natural before they were modified. And this is a problem. Is you could just imagine. Okay, you're out in the wild where we don't have modern society and everything. We're hunters, we're gatherers and stuff like that very early on. And the problem is that you can barely get any sustenance. Most of these things, Here's the original banana, what it looked like. Here's the original
Whoa,
watermelon.
hey, banana, Jason. Whoa, the banana.
Yeah.
Did you know that the banana it wasn't edible? It was in the area of Africa. It was not edible, and they made it edible. That's why there
Yeah,
are no
with
seeds in bananas.
modifications. So
Yeah,
just saying that even to get carbohydrates, energy, it was extremely hard. So we're not denying that the majority, I think, besides the Inuit and even to the Inuits maybe and the Maasai, yes, there was no strictly carnivorous. The majority were omnivorous, but what I've seen in nutritional physical degeneration is that the bulk of the nutrition was animal food, and it was supplemented. The calories, to raise the calories, were supplemented with certain kinds of plants.
hey, Jason,
So
take down a link so we can see Garland Farms.
just a minute. What do you mean a link? I sent
guys.
the Garland link. I'll stop the share.
No, just no, it's okay.
I'll-
No, that's good. Just because we didn't see.
Just wanted to say I'll be right back, guys. So please don't leave the stream, or I'll be back. I just have to go to the
Tell you
men's room.
what,
I
my
bet
wife-
you, Pat. You know where he's going. He's going to kill some vermin to make some salad. I'm sure.
Yeah, because my wife is
No, it's okay. I have cats. They take care of the vermin for me.
yeah.
I had to. Okay.
This is kind of a little bit mean. I don't.
That's me. I'm me.
I think it's a douchebag move I'm about to do. But this guru
Can't get more douchebag than me. I like this. I love debating.
This enlightened guru. We can see how he looked here. He's aging horribly. He does not look well nourished, to be honest. And that is a douchebag move. But that's the thought that came to my mind. Typical
when I look at the guy,
long-term vegan. That's the look I find.
yeah.
It's a
I mean,
douchebag.
if you were going to go to war against a population, wouldn't you want them all to look just like him?
Yeah, well, a lot of enlightened gurus and sects, they actually do is they put everybody on a vegan diet because it doesn't supply long-term especially the fats, and it also can lead, especially fruitarians, to this malnutrition that gives you a euphoric effect where it almost mimics enlightenment. You see, when the human body is malnourished, okay, the body will secrete endorphins.
Yeah, you
okay,
hallucinate.
as a way of giving them still a certain amount of sanity to
You
go
hallucinate, man.
nutrition. That is something that I see in the nutrition.
You can really hallucinate. You hallucinate. You get this euphoric like psychosis. I heard with that.
And I do not see this in vegetarians that supply eggs. This is the fact that vegetarians don't get sick. Okay, long-term vegetarians, because they're supplying some sort of food, whether it's milk or eggs and cheese, shows
they do get sick.
Density.
They do get sick, and they have a pretty high rate of anemia because that's a low iron, especially women. We can't leave the women in the gutter here.
Worse than us, apparently, with their levels, right?
Well, all I'm saying is at least what I'm saying is a vegetarian diet is similar to a peasant diet. The peasant diets had a certain amount of animal food that they scrap. The majority was plants. But when you go vegan, and then after you go raw vegan, and then you go one step further, fruitarian, and then after you become mentally ill, and then after you believe that you can breathe nutrients,
Breatharian.
I've seen this on YouTube. There's also research that what happened in the dawn of the agricultural revolution, when we left the hunter and gatherer, where there, like you said, the bisons and gathering and stuff like that, is that the population actually became sicker. The life expectancy became less. A lot of diseases happened. Dental decay happened. And what happened, though, is it allowed a surplus of calories so that the actual population could explode. but there was an abundant amount of calories, but then there was a severe nutrient deficiency that occurred. So the dawn of agriculture, plant agriculture, actually did make us sick. Anyone want to continue?
Well, I'll add to that that is the fact that a medical anthropologist is one of the jobs that they have is when someone finds human remains, just bones, they have to date them. You know, was this an individual that was killed this year or in the last decade, or are these bones from 5,000 years ago or from 15,000 years ago? And if you read what the medical anthropologists say that they have to do, is they look at the bones first for check the teeth for cavities, and they check the bones for signs of infection. And if there's cavities and signs of infection, then that tells them immediately that this is very likely bones that happened after the agricultural revolution occurred. And the hunter-gatherer bones are by and large completely free of cavities and completely free of any sign of infection on the bones.
And that's also exactly what Nutrition and Physical Degeneration, Weston A. Price saw. And this is in thousands of years. This is literally, the 20th century. I do want to share just a quick thing, article here. All right. So here we see the dawn of agriculture. The dawn of agriculture. Early farmers were sicker and shorter than their predecessors. Here, early farmers were sicker and shorter than their foraging ancestors. And they basically go into why. Again, see everything from dental cavities to bone strength to stature and overall health.
Were there more nutrients, guys? You think or Jason or anyone back in the days, like a long time ago? The
hunter and gatherer days, there were the ones that were eating nose to tail the animals. They were a lot healthier. The problem is that modern medicine, so they would die of injury. They would die of a tooth abscess. They would die from animals and predator. They would die if they had an appendicitis. Yeah, so yes, they didn't have necessarily a long life expectancy, but it wasn't caused by basically modern
no, but was it healthier? I mean, like,
can I address that, Bruce?
Go right ahead.
Can I address that?
Go right ahead, brother.
The amount of nutrients, micronutrients like vitamin B12 and iron and these types of things are 10 to 20 times higher in the organ meats than they are in the muscle meat. And the hunter-gatherers were all eating nose to tail, so they were all eating organ meats. The other thing that we have to realize about plants is that they also have genes. They have DNA as well. And they have been trying to pass on their DNA to the next generation, just like the animals have. But the animals are rooted down. They can't run from predators. So the only thing that they can do is they can come up with some type of defense against predation that they can employ while being stuck in one place. And they'll do that with thorns. They'll do it with hard shells. They'll do it with poisonous oils like the poison ivy. They do it with anti-nutrients like phytic acid, which binds to calcium and magnesium and prevents us from being able to deliver those nutrients to the bones and teeth where they're needed. So plants employ defenses.
There are hormone blockers also in plants.
Yeah, hormone blockers, protease, all types of anti-nutrients that plants employ that will prevent humans from absorbing the nutrients that are there. Here's an example: spinach. People that like that promote plant-based diets will usually promote spinach as something that's high in calcium, but spinach is high in calcium oxalate, and the oxalate is an anti-nutrient and will not allow an individual to absorb that calcium and assimilate it into their biology. That's why a lot of most kidney stones are made of calcium oxalate, which is exactly
that's what makes the rock inside of you.
That's what makes the rock in the kidney is the calcium oxalate from the spinach. And the reason why it ends up as a rock in the kidney and not as strong bones and teeth is because of these anti-nutrients that plants employ to try to ward off predation from humans and other animals.
So what happened to them thousands of years ago? So in other words, a lot of people were dying like spontaneously because of these plants or meat.
No, they weren't eating a lot of the plants. They were eating mostly. That's why they were hunter and gatherer. See, in a cave painting, there was bisons and stuff like that. They didn't have a carrot drawn with spears. That's exactly the dawn of the agricultural revolution. Made us sicker because we started making monocrops. And
Egyptians had crops, so they had crops a long time ago, though.
Exactly. And if you look, you'll see that they had horrible, first of all, horrible physiques. They had man breasts and stuff like that. And
they also arthritis.
Yeah, it's the beginning of the time. Like, so these guys are trying to say, hey, wow, we got food. Hey, what the hell am I like this? Why am my face swollen? And all these things that were happening. Imagine all that. Like, how many years people died without somebody saying, we're going to have to develop science to try to find out what the hell's going on. I mean, this goes way back.
And if you look at ancient, not ancient, wise traditions with Fallon, the thing is that the cultures also were extremely smart and eventually knew how to prepare these plants and deactivate a lot of things. So the bread that we make, it's not sourdough. There was preparations that we are no longer doing when we're mass producing these plants. Here's an example here.
Jason, I'm going to get off. You guys, because I have the eclipse coming up. I have to go set up. I have to do some stuff. But Garland Farms, bro, it was a great pleasure talking with you. Pat,
you too.
As always, and Jason, I love you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Bruce. I appreciate it.
Can we do it again? No, you're going to come on my channel.
Bruce, what's the name of your channel? I saw something crazy in the sky a couple of weeks ago I was going to tell you about, but what's the name of your channel?
It's Bruce Sees All. Bruce is capital B. Sees, S-E-E-S, is capital S, but the A-L-L are all small. So it's Bruce Sees All. You should see about 95.5 subscribers.